Hey, Tim Young, BS MPA here. Just got out of the shower, dry out my hair. So I sent out a tweet this morning about a website that talks about the COINTELPRO or COINTELPRO Gang Stalking Guide, Manual for Organized Gang Stalker Operations, FBI COINTELPRO, Operation Gladio, NATO Stay Behind Armies, and ongoing global U.S. military unconventional civil military Psy-War information war operations. And it's on this wonderful website called onceandforall.com, the numeral 4, and it's got a section on electromagnetics, remote neural monitoring, shielding, remote direct energy weapons, and how gang stalking is used on innocent people. So I'm going to read part of it because it was such an effective tweet to tell the communities about the community slander, the design homelessness and suicide, the neurolinguistic programming that's affected like every town I've went to. I sent this out an alert to like Hillsboro, Oregon, Seaside, Oregon, Lake Oswego, Oregon, Portland, Eugene, Corvallis, Redmond, Bend, maybe even in particular. And then somebody came here, delivered a air conditioner to the woman that's working at the nut house. A street crew was dispatched for the road, and he was saying, yeah, the whole town's been alerted, which is they say and do the opposite. And then that guy may have been a perpetrator, but then the tweet got censored, so it didn't go out to anybody, or was for a while, and then taken off in really elaborate censorship efforts. So the website's called onceandfor all.com. They got a great domain. And here's some of what I endure read aloud. Operations in general are of the active surveillance type. Passive surveillance is watching a target covertly to obtain information about the target. Active surveillance can include information gathering, but it also includes agent making the target aware they are under surveillance. Beyond active surveillance, agents perform acts to keep the target uncomfortable around the clock. Although operations are silently approved of and covered for by the official judicial system, they are not seen as criminal in nature by citizens who do not have a strong sense of right and wrong. Agents must take great care that each and every act of punishment is deniable. This means that should the target complain to police or any official or friends, neighbors, family members, or doctors, the nature of the punishment must be seen as the target's overactive imagination, or better yet, indicative of the target's being mentally ill. The system has worked for years to recruit the medical establishment to help maintain deniability, and today most targets are immediately labeled as mentally ill and often forced into antipsychotic medications when they complain. But their agents must still do their part skillfully to perform acts of punishment so that almost anyone the target complains to will deny a crime against the target has even taken place. Let me get a little center on this old mug of mine. Okay, as an agent, you will be trained how to do this. The system has been blessed with advanced technology which enables heavy punishment at times to the target in their home, silently through walls, and this is very deniable. Agents must pass their initial training and demonstrate a high level of commitment to maintain community safety and the ability to operate deniably before they will be considered for advanced electronic punishment training. Electronic punishment training is beyond the scope of this manual. It's taken from the perp end. The organization is very fortunate in that we have the ability to recruit top specialists to back up field operations people. Psychologists are the key to finding ways to maximize feelings of stress and hopelessness in the target and degrading the target's health from mainly individual minor invasive punishment acts. Technicians in all fields, telecommunications, electric power, building electrical and alarm systems, and utility employees in all fields use their positions to inflict many absolutely normal-looking problems on the targets on an ongoing basis. And of course, the services of many skilled locksmiths are invaluable in this. As a community-based agent, CBA, pay attention to this, Hillsboro, who they use neurolinguistic programming often. You will have the privilege of working with a team capable of delivering better justice than the official system. I was put on the targeted individual list for being worried about tuition. My ancestor, after he served as U.S. president, served on the Ohio State University Board of Trustees. I did it in my early 20s. Didn't want you to become indentured servants for trying to better yourself through higher ed, so they made me a mind and body, like a fire and body and mind torture object for 15 years. Okay, so surveillance. Surveillance is the foundation of all operations. Both community-based agents, visual surveillance, and advanced electronic surveillance are used. This chapter will cover only local agent visual surveillance. Your local lead agent will schedule surveillance watches for each target in that community. Every target will have at least one CBA watching them at all times, even while at home and asleep. Each community-based agent surveillance team will be given a cell phone number for reporting target actions and movements to the local control center, or CC. Actions to be reported include, but are not limited to, targets turns on lights, eats a meal, travels out of town, on and on and on. Some of these observations will be performed by the electric cores, ECs, but the CBAs, community-based agents, should attempt to make and report as many detailed observations of targeted activity as possible. The reason such detail is necessary is that the punishment phase of active surveillance requires the supervisors customize each punishment action to make the personality of the to match the personality of the target, and the need to make each punishment action appear to be life's normal breaks. One important punishment function of surveillance is to sensitize the target. Targets are never told they are under surveillance or being punished. Instead, close active surveillance and other activities happen far too frequently to be written off as life's normal breaks. That will eventually cause the target to realize they're under surveillance and being punished. As a community-based agent, you will be given specific instructions on exactly when, where, and how to carry out punishment actions. As long as you're carrying out punishment instructions exactly as given, there'll be no way the target will be believed if they complain. You will not be exposed to risk of action by law enforcement. This is from the Gang Stalker Manual. How well the punishment action works depends on how accurate and complete your reports are in many situations. The control center, CC, acquires access to property or apartments immediately next to the target's home or apartments. That's happened here. Happened in Tualatin. Because EC's electric corps have through-the-wall surveillance and punishment equipment, I've been hit all over my body in the last 72 hours. Pretty hardcore, attacking reproductive organ function and shit like that. Anyways, the punishments, how well the punishment action works, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Because the EC electronic corp has through-the-wall surveillance and punishment equipment, they will be reporting target activity along with the community-based agents. They've been in Hillsborough for at least like the 6 months I've been here. In a typical setup, community-based agents may be posted in a parked car where the target's home or apartment can be observed overnight, for example. It happens to me all the time here at the outpatient facility. In the setup, the CBA in the car may be instructed to call using walkie-talkie style cell phones, or another community-based agent or team waiting or patrolling by car nearby to follow the target, or you may be assigned to follow the target yourself. You will receive instructions from your local center as to following the target. Targets and transits may be either covertly or visibly followed. When in doubt, hang back a bit and contact the centers for instructions, as targets in transit can present many unanticipated situations. The center will always have the target's position monitored. So if a target gives the community-based agent the slip, it will assist other appropriate community-based agents to pick up the target at the earliest opportunity. Be sure to notify the control center immediately if you lose the target. When applying the visible following of a target, making the target uncomfortable because of your presence, you will be given instructions as to when to break off the following. Another community-based agent or team may pick up the visibility following, but once you have broken away, they advise that you are clear and ready for the next assignment. Intercepts. Intercepts are when community-based agents will appear to just coincidentally cross path or foot with the target. This happens to me all the time. I call them poo cameos from the poo cam mafia with their shit views. Everybody's a star, just the biggest little poo cam in the federal government. This is all an extreme overreach community policing of federal powers that were never supported by the founding fathers. This isn't military, this is policing powers, which should have remained with the states, largely. Okay, so poo cam mafia, just talked about poo cameos when they show up and do street theater and neurolinguistic programming. Just happens to cross paths with them. So your local control center will instruct you you will be cued to perform an intercept. Often you will have an on-site supervisor, OSS, position you and given you hand signals as to when to start your movement to intercept the target. That's been a problem here. Because the targets moving about aren't always totally predictable, the success of community-based agent intercepts depends heavily on the electronic cores who have the means of monitoring the exact whereabouts of every target, and through computer programming predict exactly when and where a target will be as they move about the community. Your local OSS has a special means of receiving instant silent instructions from the center. Intercepts. Community-based agents may be asked to perform one of the following forms of intercepts. Simple path crossing, requiring the target to take evasive action to avoid collision. Multiple community-based agents sometimes perform this several times during a single outing by a target. This happens to my aunt in LA all the time. On foot walking for an extended period of time on the opposite side of the street from a walking target. Arriving at a place known to be a favorite of the target, Mahalo, down the street where I buy legal marijuana, getting out of the black market and into the light. Arriving at a place known as a favorite place of the target and simply occupying that place just as the target is about to arrive. Restaurants, parks, public facilities, seatings, bus seats. Sometimes just hanging out in such locations and times and places where people don't ordinarily do that. Smoking, coin jingling, whistling, toe tapping near the target at a location where the target is known to need to stand or wait for the bus, or standing right behind a target at a water fountain. As a group, as many as a dozen community-based agents may be assigned to arrive at a store just ahead of a target and form a queue ahead of the target, spending time buying lottery tickets to delay the target. The target is very tired and eager to get home and after work, for example, or in a hurry. Community-based agents may be assigned to leave a next door home or apartment exactly the same time as the target repeatedly. Alternatively, a community-based agent may intercept the target a short way before home and arrive at exactly the same time as the target. While these may seem as like trivial acts, keep in mind that the target will have all these trivial things happen to them every single day, and repeated intercepts like this will force the target to always watch for such acts, essentially ensuring the target never has a nice day. This is the goal, to ensure the target's punishment. Similar intercept operations are performed with vehicles. The center can schedule these every day on the target's commute and both to and from work. Vehicle intercepts are particularly effective when the target sees the same vehicle and an intercept convey both in the convoy both in the morning and the evening. Because vehicle intercepts can be dangerous, community-based agents assigned to the vehicle intercept duty must successfully complete a special training course prior to actual assignment. Here are some examples of vehicle intercepts as community-based agents can explain and be assigned. Parking, so as to prevent a target's leaving a parking area and then disappearing. Parking commercial vehicles often near target's home with something unusual about the vehicle, such as there is no need for that trade or just unmarked white vans to make the target think the van is there to conduct surveillance. I have electrical company perps in the OHSU parking lot across from the Juniper House and other things like that. and they've already moved in the neighbors' EMF perps, or even like moved into the apartment, regular perps with the weaponry that I'm getting hit with or whatnot. Okay. So parking, following the distance. Okay, so this goes on to describe more of the car stuff. Physical sabotage is an especially effective form of punishment that is carefully limited to low-value items. Below the value where police will be taking their below the value where police will take the report seriously. For example, burning a target's house down or stealing an expensive appliance would bring official investigations into the picture, so that's not done. Sabotage producing extreme safety hazard is generally not suitable for operations because of the potential for bringing official investigations to an accident scene. So while damaging the brake systems of a targeted vehicles is not allowed for community-based agents, draining some of the oil, transmission fluid, or radiation antifreeze is allowed, but not all of it. The goal is to make it look as the target is neglecting and maintaining fluid levels, or generally not causing a catastrophic failure on the non-targeted might see as sabotage. It is very important to apply punishments by way of a large number of small value sabotage acts, because that makes it look like the target is forgetful, exaggerating, or in some cases even delusional if they complain about many cases of small value damage. The target associates will simply refuse to believe that anyone but the target is responsible. Sabotage is very important in that it lets the target know they are totally helpless to stop it, can't even complain about it effectively without appearing mentally ill. The organization is very fortunate in that some people hearing about the sabotage from a target will say they're effective in saying they did it to themselves to get attention. Sabotage is applied in the target's home, workplace, and on their vehicle. This requires the assistance of locksmiths and alarm technicians. Your local control center will supply this help, and you will bring specialists in from a distance in the case of rural areas. Here's some example of community-based agent sabotage. Entering a vehicle or home, or changing controls on a radio station, replacing window washer fluid with water, possibly destroying the system in winter, scratching the paint on the target's vehicle, scratching furniture and valuables, tire sabotage, simulation, breaking windows, and such and so forth, cutting up upholstery, stealing irreplaceable photographs, ripping crotches out of underwear, and such and so forth. Sabotaging the target's reputation. Sabotaging the target's reputation and all that goes with it, such as the ability to earn a living, business, or personal relationship, is a very special operations category. Newer community-based agents will not be assigned to engineer the method, but will assist in passing rumors, which are the main means of destroying a public's target's image. Rumors consist of mainly lies. However, in order to secure cooperation of specific members of the community to participate in the punishment phase, additional information keyed to appeal to the patriotic or community service sense of such community members may be used as well. As mentioned earlier, the organization has many top psychologists and psychiatrists or permanent staff at headquarters and some in large population centers. It is their responsibility to design the campaign to destroy the target's reputation. These people listed below can be approached and given information which will cause them to make the target's association with them uncomfortable or break off all contact with the target. Business contacts, supervisors, coworkers, casual social contacts, friends, local fraternities, and whatnot. Target's neighborhood, Hillsborough, homeless shelters. How intensely these sabotage operations are carried out is governed mainly by the need to prevent the target from learning that the negative rumors are being spread. The goal is to keep the negative information covertly flowing into the community in such a way that those receiving the information aren't likely to tell the target. One might think that friends and family members would instantly notify the target and side with the target. Fortunately, experience shows that co-opting friends and family is surprisingly easy once they are informed about the target's criminal record, which they lie about. The headquarters staff has developed techniques which, by and large, prevent that, but those techniques are beyond the scope of this manual. Suffice it to say that it is possible to apply incentives which cause even people closest to the target to cooperate. These incentives are implied by specialists from our organization at higher than the local level. For the community-based agents, the work of sabotaging the reputation of the target takes the form of simply carrying out instructions from your control center as what to say to whom, when, how, and that. So they don't know the big picture. Discrediting targets. While the powerful silent support of operations by the justice and psychiatric systems have been sufficient to prevent the target from informing the public, the area of discrediting the target is an ongoing activity. Like sabotaging the target's reputation, discrediting public statements, websites, media appearances, letters to the editor, and the like are done under supervision of psychologists and psychiatrists on their staff. If a community-based agent has a good track record of intelligently carrying out assignments and has access to a computer, the community-based agent may apply to the local control center for assignments to discredit work. Excellent communication skills are required. Some of these activities CBAs carry out under the operations of surveillance are monitoring message boards, WOGs, and open media like indie media for target posts. This is normally done in specific shifts and under scheduling and control at a higher level than your local control center. The monitoring is assigned by blog scanning software, which will detect and instantly flag posts relating to activities. The CBA doing this will work immediately or replying with comments like someone isn't taking their medication or target name has provided absolutely no evidence. The community-based agent will then report the post to higher level supervisors for possibly more detailed responses. Monitoring newspapers in your areas for letters to the editor regarding activities. Most editors and many reporters have been recruited and are willing to assist in keeping the important work of monitoring and neutralizing quiet, but once in a while a letter to the editor will slip through. In this case, comments like someone isn't taking their medication are not an appropriate response. Transcribe and forward such a letter to the editor to the supervisor along with your proposed response. The supervisor may edit your response and will assist in ensuring your response is printed. Your supervisor will have a staff monitoring upcoming talk shows' appearance by targets. While most talk show hosts, even those somewhat sympathetic to the target, have received discrediting information and often will not host targets, some targets do manage to get on air. In this case, your supervisor will assign you to call in the show, instruct you how to, ask you to what appropriate things to say, such as rebuting the target's claim, pretending to be a target, calling in, making wacko statements such as UFOs are harassing me when they're drones, or pulling the discussion away from real activities, something like media mind control. Agents who have excellent persuasive communication skills are to be assigned with careful coaching and preparation from supervisors to pretend to be a target and then get on talk shows to known to air targets as their guests. These opportunities are a great way to discredit targets by talking about UFOs, things like black helicopters following you, foil beanies, satellites parked just above your home, and perhaps events normally considered as paranormal that seem to appear and disappear. This discrediting topics must be a total surprise to the host, only mentioned after the show is in progress. Community-based agents can casually describe the odd behavior exhibited by the target as a result of around-the-clock activities in the target's neighborhood. The idea is to focus the neighbor's attention to the target's behavior, hinting that the target may be mentally ill. This is this is easy once the target has developed suspicion that everyone is out to get him or her. It's a special honor for community-based agents to be chosen for targeted discreditation work. Trade-related punishment. This section will give some examples of ways community-based agents will, with specific trade or situations in the community, can apply deniable punishments to the target. Underground utility crews where the management has been recruited schedule messy, noisy maintenance at the target's home. That's been happening here. This can include having the street torn up for extended periods or repeatedly. Funding for unneeded workers available for the headquarters. Taxi drivers can delay arriving when picking up the target, especially when going to the airport. Bus drivers can screw up bus transit, repair trades. People can keep getting it wrong when overbill the target, damage things. Medical lab technicians can substitute blood samples, falsify results. Police can frequently pull the target over. Telephone and cable TV technicians can reroute legitimate calls to the target's number in large numbers, and this will cause the target to get very angry with these totally innocent callers. Store staff where the target shops frequently can be instructed to remove items the target is known to need when a target is known to be coming. Some management can stop ordering the target's favorite items. Restaurants and food delivery services can tell the target they're out of an item to be known favorite of the target. The key to successful punishment by tradespeople is that while the target is fairly likely to know they are being punished, these punishment acts may appear to be to the general public as life's normal breaks. Target's home. Punishing the target at the home is essential for the effectiveness of Secret Service operations. If the target were punished in the community but was allowed sanctuary in the home, the creation of a prison without walls would not be complete. One of the very first things the control center will arrange is for homes or apartments adjacent to the target's home to be occupied by both community-based agents and members of the Electronic Operations Manual. Because operations are carried out 24/7 in shift, homes and apartments will be leased out or owned by staff as not used as dwellings. These lease or deeds will bear either an entirely false name or the name of a senior staff member whose actual home will be in a different location. Some adjacent homes or apartments are occupied by neighbors of the target who have offered to cooperate in punishment of the target. They've moved in already, or are here in EMF perp form. The initial contact of the neighbors to determine their willingness to cooperate is done by senior staff, and incentives to cooperate are often tendered. Here are some commonly used punishment activities which are carried out by both community-based agents and cooperating neighbors of the target. Activities are rotated among the choices, but at least one of them is applied daily. Noise. Loud music, squealing of tires, unnecessary work, tossing golf balls, tennis balls, frequent use of sirens, knocking on the door, frivolous nonsense, wrong address reasons, trash in the yard, terrifying the target's pet, killing the targets. Cooperating with the police department can visibly watch the target's home, possibly being parked out in front of the home with the target, where the target returns repeatedly. Police officers who refuse to take complaint of harassment and sabotage of the target, who they label as disturbed, really are not allowed to make diagnoses as only medical doctors can do, but may get a raise for their unlawfulness afterwards. Police follow orders by stand behind secret military-led organization created by the CIA after World War II in NATO countries. They give orders in secrecy to police, media, legal systems, and judges, thus being above parliament and government, as demonstrated, for example, in Norway when in 1957 the chief of Stay-Behind 7 Olad gave the security code of Norway to MI6 British intelligence, and in the UK action on his own. We have to trust our allies, he said. Today the security code of Norway is kept in Wales. Originally, Stay Behind was created with good intentions to fight communism. Today, it is out of control, and a new, much bigger Stay Behind 2 is active in Norway. The Stay Behind logo resembles of that of the NATO logo. Goes on to talk about Italy, Gladio 2, Red Brigade, EU, Stay Behind, the Norwegian examples, and then goes on to appendices, community-based agents, elements of secret surveillance, gang stalking. Surveillance is a foundation of all activities. Operations are active surveillance type. and such and so forth. And this is happening to me now. It happened in Redmond. It happened in Bellingham, Washington. It happened in Utah. It happened in Nevada. It happened in LA. It happened at the Canadian border. It happened at the Mexican border. It's happening in Hillsborough. And they're trying to design homeless suicide. So this is an intro to some more discussions that I want to endorse for discussion and consumption by people in Hillsborough to help you help yourselves avoid this and not participate unknowingly or knowingly in destroying my life. My ancestors helped keep this country together, and it's falling apart. What's being described here in these increases in technology, sound weaponry, is much more severe. Synthetic telepathy, non-lethal weapons than anything that was in the former USSR and the former Nazi Germany, operative word being former. They've been doing this around the world for a long time, and they're using it on their own citizens, the federal government. So if you care about me, if you care about yourselves, if you want to learn how to defend yourself and inoculize to this stuff and reject it like a foreign agent, please see ONCEAND 4, the number 4, ALL.com. Love you guys.